Concerns, it was like I had chosen the Alabama of Canada to spend the next few years of my life in. It wasn't that my hometown was exempt from racism. I knew which department stores would send their white employees following after me like a criminal, and I understood the intentions of the police when my peers would get stopped on their way home from playing basketball. But I was sheltered. I hadn't gotten a complete picture of what it meant to be a black girl at home before I left to become a black woman in London. I wondered if I could form my own identity surrounded by white kids wearing hunter boots and Canada Goose jackets. I worried I could be alienated for being too black. I was even more worried about losing myself and being called too white when I got back home. But people in London were friendly. They smiled as you passed by. Strangers said good morning. Everyone talked to me. The women in line at the grocery store, the people sitting next to me at a restaurant, the students also waiting an unacceptably long time for the bus. But many of our conversations ended up diverting into race. We don't get a lot of black people here. London has become very progressive in the last few years. My God, black people are just so funny. Where are you from? No. Like, where did you originally come from? Ethiopia? Kenya? Zimbabwe? Africa? As the months and years went on, these seemingly innocuous comments became more ignorant and at times malicious. From the ages of 18 to 22, I learned more about what someone like me brought out in other people than about who I was. I didn't even get a chance to know myself before I had to fight for myself. In the 4 years I spent in London, Ontario for my undergraduate degree, I was called Ebony, Dark Chocolate, Shaniqua, Ma, and Boo. I encountered blackface on Halloween and was told to go back to my country on several occasions. I was humiliated by guys shouting, "Look at that black ass," as I walked down a busy street. I was an ethnic conquest for curious white men and the token black friend for white women. I was called a black bitch and a nigger. I was asked by white friends desperately trying to rap every song off Yeezus if it was okay to use nigga around me. I was verbally assaulted and came close to being physically attacked by angry men. I came face to face with a white supremacist. I was asked if I spoke English and whether I was adjusting to Canadian winters. When I told people I was born in Canada, they'd impatiently badger me with, "But where are you really from?" These encounters were about how I was perceived, not who I actually was, someone always in between worlds. A Canadian-born girl with 2 immigrant parents, a multiracial woman with black features in a family of brown people, a daughter raised by a working-class mother and middle-class grandparents, the only baby born out of wedlock in a family all conceived after marriage, an only child with at least 7 half-siblings, an astrology lover born right on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini. I have lived in the squishy middle all my life, at the margins of binaries, an experience that has made me as independent as I am lonely. I felt trapped by these categories, whose walls felt so high that I might never get out. I wondered what kind of person I was outside those confines, and university seemed like a good place to start solidifying the pieces of myself that I felt I couldn't explore back home. A few things did solidify about my identity while I was there. I was black, I was a woman, and I was out of place. I didn't identify as black until I got to London. This is common among people who come to Canada from countries with diverse ethnic communities, or who grew up in a mixed family where identity wasn't discussed. I wasn't ignorant to my own appearance. I definitely didn't pass as white, and there was no way I looked brown. At home, being a racial minority meant you belonged somewhere. In London, it was a marker of exclusion and difference, and you were squeezed into a category, black, white, Asian, brown, that became a way to navigate and survive the environment. My maternal grandparents, who raised me for the first half of my life, faced racism themselves when they arrived in Toronto from Karachi, Pakistan in the early 1970s. But they didn't know what to make of my claims of anti-black racism. We never spoke about my father, a Jamaican man who was absent, or what his ethnicity meant for my own identity. My family was shocked to hear me call myself black, and even more shocked at the stories I told, despite police-reported hate crimes across the country soaring the year before I